As I said yesterday, we will take a few programs, live programs, so that all concepts you learned in this chapter, like while loop, for loop, break statement, continue statement, so that let's try to cover all these concepts in a few programs, not necessarily to couple of programs, but we may write 3 or 4 programs, and all of your concepts will be cleared when I go on explaining each statement of the program. I hope the screen is live. First, let's take a simple program. Simple from your assignment. So, what does the program say? Problem say rather. What does the problem say? Marks of 3 subjects are input through the keyboard. Write a program to print total and percentile marks for 3 students using any appropriate loop control structure. So you can use any appropriate, whichever you feel. As I told you, there is no rule. This loop is to be used particular in this particular situation. So no such rule exists in C language. So in fact, you can use any loop anywhere. Now the what is the problem? There are 3 subjects. Marks of 3 subjects are to be taken from the keyboard and find out total and percentile marks. We have written this program, similar kind of programs in the first chapter, right? But there we used to run the program, enter marks of 3 subjects, and that's all. Here, this process is to be repeated for 3 students. 3 students, right? So I will declare 3 variables for taking input uh, marks of 3 subjects. So let me declare int m1, m2, and m3 as a marks of 3 subjects. I will write here comment. I will declare one variable total as a total marks. One variable as a double to store percentage, right? Now this is what is required for 1 student. But it doesn't mean if you are going to store for multiple students, you need to declare those many variables. Because this is here we are not going to use any array or storing marks of all 3 subjects. It is not. It is a simple program. So let me declare one variable as int I as a this is going to be the loop counter. Now we will execute loop three times. So I will use the while loop. So I will initialize it to 1 and then while I is less than or equal to 3. The basic code I would write inside the while loop. I'll give here message to the user, enter marks. We will take input for all three subjects in a single, uh, in a pair of uh, printf and scanf statement. So I will write the message accordingly. Enter marks for three subjects, right? Right here percent d and comma ampersand m1, m2 and m3, right? The very next statement we will calculate the total of marks. So total is equal to m1 plus m2 plus m3. Each time we should have a uh, close look, close watch on all statements we are writing. So you need to recall all concepts from the first chapter. So when, as you know, this is an arithmetic expression. M1, M2, M3 are integers, and that's why we are storing addition of all three variables in the variable total, which is also integer, or rather which must be an integer. Take care that data type of left hand side and right hand side is same always. Now we need to calculate the percentage. So when you calculate the percentage, we will divide that total by 3 number of subjects, right? Total by 3. But here if you try to uh, observe, this total is integer, 3 is integer, so result of this expression is going to be integer. And on the left hand side, the variable percentage you have declared as the double. So as we have already learned, typecast this to double. So what do you mean by typecast? Again, I will tell you. Total is an integer variable, 3 is an integer, so result is going to be an integer. So you will not get each time the right result, right output, the way you are expecting. So one good method facility in C programming is that you can typecast particular variable. So we are telling the compiler for time being, consider this total variable as a double and not as an integer. So in that case, you will get the perfect result. And here I will print the output. Right? So total marks percentage slash n. You should know how you want output. So accordingly, you will go on using slash n and width specifiers slash t, whatever, right? And then percentage is equal to double. Double has got the format specifier as LF. That is the format specifier for double. Format specifier for float is %f. For double it is LF. And we are going to print two outputs. So there would be two variable names in the having the same sequence. So first there is marks. So we will write here total, then comma, and then percentage. So this will be executed for one student, first student. So you need to increment the counter. So you can write I is equal to I plus 1. You can write I plus I plus equal to 1, whatever. So how this will be executed? Initially, I is initialized to 1. So when I is equal to 1, condition is going to be true. Control will go inside. This much part of the loop will be executed. This code is from the sequential control structure. All statements are going to be executed, right? And then there is going to be a increment. So if I run this code, I'll first say this, run this code. So there are no errors and warnings. I will execute this code. So enter marks for three subjects. So I will enter marks as 63, 52, and 75. So it gives you total marks as 190, percentage 63.333. And again it is giving prompt for the next subject, right? So now you will understand how to design that code. And so program is executed three times and now it is terminated. So we'll make appropriate changes. The first was there should be slash in so that next input for the next prompt for the uh, inputting marks is carried over to next line, because since a slash in was not there, as soon as total marks and percentage was getting printed on the same line you were getting this prompt. Little confusing. Second thing was percentage was having 6 decimal places precision, so we will curtail it by writing 0.2. So that output is needed. One more required was that first marks, the marks of first subject, as soon as you enter, the cursor was going to the um first position of next line. So instead here we will put the slash in, right? To the best of my knowledge, these three minor changes were required in the program. So now let's see how it sees comparative to earlier output window. So I will enter marks for three subjects. So it is bit neat. Total marks 200, percentage 66.67. Then again enter marks for three subjects. What? So this loop is getting executed three times. This is the use of the loop. You can put slash in one here as well, so that it is more, or here only also one more slash in. So 52, 63, 41. So it is more clear now. Are you getting what I mean? So now output is much better than the first run of the program, right? Okay, I hope uh, the program is simple. I hope you understood this. Let's go to the next program. Same program you can try once you go through this video, or without also going through video, try this program using another loop. That will be an assignment for you, because in the assignment section this program is there. There is no point in copying this program and again executing it on the. So for you, write the same program using do while loop or a for loop. We will write another program. The program is from your assignment section. So same programs intentionally I am taking. So what does the problem say? The problem statement is that write a program to print sum of integers. Simple. At the beginning, user will be asked how many numbers he is going to enter. The output should be sum of all numbers entered by the user. For example, if user enters 6 at the beginning, then user will be prompted to enter 6 integers. Okay. So what does it mean? How many integers are going to be entered? That will be decided by user. So loop, little bit of changes are required in the loop construct. Earlier, we were running that loop for predefined types, that I is equal to I less than or equal to 10, I less than or equal to 5. So in the program itself, you mentioned how many times, like in the earlier program, we wanted to execute that part of the code 3 times. So we put the condition is I is less than or equal to 3. Here, one step ahead. How many times the loop is going to be executed, that user will decide. So how we can design that? I will declare one variable as a number. Suppose I will declare as a counter, int counter. Okay. Not declare as int counter, we will declare as int count, right? And I will declare one variable as a loop counter, that is int I. Hmm? Declare one variable as a sum, because we want to print uh, sum of all integers entered by the user. In each program, you will learn something new, and that's why I tell you that once you understand the basics in any chapter, try to write programs on your own. Now we will give the message here first to the user. how many numbers, how many integers you want to enter, right? It means I want summation of 8 numbers. So user will enter 8. I want summation of 15 numbers. So user will enter 15. That's it. I will take that input from the keyboard using scanf. I will store that input in a variable count. And this many times the loop should be executed. So I will initialize. Okay, here we will write the for loop, right? So for, because in the earlier program we have taken that while loop. What I want to show you is that you can use any loop anywhere. So for I is equal to 1, initialize to that value. And what should be condition now? I is, the loop should be executed that many times. So I is less than or equal to count. Now here it is a variable. Earlier it was a constant. Contents of count will change each time you run the program. And I plus plus. And inside this loop, what is to be done? The user is going to enter different numbers, right? So definitely there should be one variable as a number, right? So I'll give here message enter number, right? Slash t. I will take this input in a variable number which we declared just now. So first number is there. We need to add. We are going to add all numbers, summation of all numbers. So what is to be done along with the first number? So we need to write, like I tell you, I'm I'm going to I'm going to say some numbers and you are going to add them here onwards. I say 5, 8, 2. So what will you do? You will collect first 5 in your mind. So till that sum is 5, because it may happen that I will tell you only one number. So 5. Next number comes from me. So 8. So we'll add that 8 to 5, right? Then I say 2. So you will add that 2 to 13, right? Because initially it was 5. But before that, before I say the first number, what was the sum? Sum was having some variable, sum was having some value inside your mind. The moment I tell you 5, that initial value of sum was removed and 5 was stored in that. So what was that sum initially? 0. So here, if I write, the single statement will be sum plus number. I know this might be bit difficult, bit confusing for you, but this kind of logic is going to be used numerous times while writing programming in C. Not only C, in any language. Any language. Learn Python, Java, any language. So this kind of logic is going to help you always. So sum is equal to sum plus number. That's all. That is all. But are you going to get the correct output here? Let's check. You may not get. How many integers you want to enter. Suppose want to enter four integers, right? So we'll ask, it will give prompt four times. So I'll enter number 11, 6, 4, 8. Do you get output? No, we haven't print the output. Where you will print that, where you will give not, there is no necessity to put that printf statement inside the for loop, because we want summation once all numbers are added. I write outside this, uh, sum of all integers is percent d slash n, then write sum. I hope you are understanding how to develop program. By the time you reach last chapter, I'm quite sure you will be able to develop programs of 100 lines, 150 lines. Okay, initially it seems very difficult how I can write the program, but that happens along with every beginner, right? I want to enter 6, so in 3, 2, 5, 8, 9. How many we have entered? 5, 7. Sum of all integers is 3682338. What went wrong? We only entered 3 2, 3 and 2, 5, 5, 5, 5 plus 5, 10, 10 plus 8, 18, 18 plus 9, 27 plus 7, that is 35. So sum of integers should be 35. What went wrong? What went wrong is that when the first time loop enters, control enters inside this loop, you took the input from the keyboard. Suppose you enter 5. When this statement is executed, this variable contains 5, whatever you have entered. But what does this contain? Sum. As I told you, all variables in C contain garbage value, junk values, right? So all these variable contains junk values till you store something. Since sum is a part of the expression, it has to be initialized to 0. So this initialization is must. Initialize is mandatory. For the rest of the initialization is not required. Count, we are going to take input from the user. Number, you are going to take input from the user. You are going to initialize in the for loop. What about sum? So once you initialize it to 0, when the first time control enters inside the while for loop, then if you enter 5 as a number, this 5 plus this sum, it will be stored in sum again, because this is valid statement in C, not in mathematics. In mathematics, you cannot write sum is equal to sum plus number. Why? Because it will cancel all these, both these. But in C, don't forget that this is an assignment operator. So this expression will be solved first, and value of that expression will be stored in sum. Like we write I is equal to I plus 1. What happens over there? The current value of I, in that 1 is added, and that is stored in I. So it will be a new value. Similarly here, current value of sum, that is 0, new value of number, that is 5. So 0 plus 5, so 5 will be stored. And the same process you were doing in your mind, right? I have just put that in a programming logic, right? The same logic I have written in a programming statement. That's it. So again, usually I repeatedly say this: what you think you need to put in programming statements, your own logic. Here, mathematics that way doesn't come into the picture. This is a simple mathematics, addition of two numbers. That's it. Don't forget that each time you make changes in the program, you need to compile that. You should not directly execute that, because whatever changes you have made in the source code, all these have to be reflected in the machine code. If you make changes and you run the program, then whichever executable file available at that moment in the memory, that will be executed. Okay. So if I now I have compiled this, if I run this code again, I want to enter five numbers. Enter, suppose small numbers we will enter. We will enter 12, 11, 7, 8, and 9. So sum of all integers is 47. Got that? I hope the program is clear to you. Uh, According to me, you learn two things in this. One is sometimes you need to initialize variables depending upon the problem statement. And what you learn second, this loop is going to be executed that many times on the basis of user input. So this loop may be executed three times, eight times, 100 times, whatever. But that is going to be decided by user at the beginning. That's why you have used the same variable to check the condition that many times loop is going to be executed. So as compared to first program, we are trying to understand something new in each program. I hope this program is understood. Next, let's take randomly multiplication table. We have already seen. Hmm? Okay, we will write this number. Write a program to print all prime numbers between 0 and 500. Write a program, right? We will write a program. I mentioned about this yesterday. What is that? Write a program. Before you uh, start writing any program, first a couple of programs we have taken. That is summation of numbers, or that uh, total and percentage of three students, five students, whatever. Try to understand the problem first. What problem is, and what kind of input is required, what kind of output is required. Hmm? That is very important. As we have been writing, I have been writing programs for so many years. This process goes in. in our mind, but you should not apply the same philosophy, same strategy when you write the code. So as soon as you see a problem statement in an assignment like this, write a program to print all prime numbers 0 and 500 or whichever similar. You should have a pencil and paper or a notebook in your hand, write that code and do something on the paper first. How many variables are required for taking the input? What kind of variables are required? What should be data type of variables? What kind of output uh, the problem is expecting? What is the output required? Because if you don't know what is output required, you won't be able to design the code, design the program. Then, if it is possible, I have um, I have made a video on that how to design the code, kind of a flow chart kind of thing. So try to draw the flow chart. I will take one session on drawing the flow chart. Right? I will have to make a PPT on that, but I will create PPT and how to design the flow chart. Flow chart basically when you do engineering, uh, I think in the journals flowcharts are there, but I know that all flowcharts and no pseudocodes and all these and even codes, source codes, they are copied from one student to another and one batch to another. Okay, that happens. That is a big problem. That is the biggest weakness. I don't want to talk too much on that, but that is sheer facts. So I will show you how to draw that flow chart. Hmm? Don't worry. So here, write a program to print all prime numbers between 0 and 500. One of that program we have already written to find a particular number is prime or not, right? So that program will be part of this code because here we are going to print all prime numbers between 0 and 500, rather 2 and 500. All right. So since as I already always tell you, I do not recite any code. I don't have any by heart. What you can say. I develop along with you, so that I will commit mistakes. It will help you how mistakes are committed. Because if I directly I know the code by heart and I write you won't be able to understand. So as this program statement says 0 to 500 all numbers, so that earlier program will be part of this. So what will be difference between that finding the prime number and printing prime numbers between 2 and 500? Finding a particular number is a prime or not can be done using the loop, right? And to find prime numbers between 2 and 500, we need another loop. So you need nesting of loops, right? In the earlier program, you enter some number 7. You divide that 7 from 2 to 6. So that division process by each number needs a loop which will run from 2 to 6. For number 27, whether 27 is a prime number or not, you need to execute the loop from 2 to 26. But you reduce that process because 20, rather 20, 26. You reduce that process. Why? Because the moment you come to know that 27 is divisible by 3, you stop there. You didn't go dividing that number by 4 onwards, 4, 5, 6, like up to 26. Because there is no point once you come to know that 27 is not a prime number. What is the point in dividing that number till 26? So there you need one loop. Now, this is one step ahead. We are going to check each number from 2 to 500 and check each number whether that prime or not. And whichever is prime, we are going to print it. Got that? Okay. So let's start. Declare some counter, right? It's a counter, right? Declare one number as a int num. I'll write for num is equal to 2, num less than or equal to 500, num plus plus, right? So the outer loop will be executed from num is equal to 2 to num is equal to or less than 500. And each of this number we are going to check whether it is prime or not, right? So I'll write while I is less than or equal to num minus 1. If num mod I, right, equal to 0, break. Because 1 is divisible by, there is no point in no division of that. Right, I plus plus, right? If I is equal to num, print percent d, suppose percent 4d, and I'll print here num. I will execute this program first. Let's check whether it works or not. No, it is not working properly because it is giving 4 and 6 as a prime number. So some mistake is there. Yeah. See, this is giving you probably the correct output. Seems to be 61. Yes, 59 is a prime number, 53 is a prime number, 47 is a prime number, 367, 499, 491. Right now, uh, as a beginner, you may not be able to understand uh, complete program, but don't forget that this much part is same. Copy paste, you can say. I have not copied that, but this much part is same as for the whether to find whether the number is prime or not. The program we wrote yesterday, it is the same code here. Nothing being in that, nothing new in that. Now the changes, the biggest important point of this code, the statement, the key statement of this code is, this is a key statement, and you would be able to recognize these kind of key statements while writing program only after thorough practice, thorough rigorous practice, and after facing rigorous frustration. It is not that much easy. I wrote that on the basis of what I got the output and suspect that, but that is the reason we learn C language, right? These days students say that Python is easy, so they learn that. Python is initially easy for just 8 days or 15 days. After that, programming logic has to be there again, and same kind of statements you need to write there. Without that, Python programs cannot be written. It is a misconception that Python is easy to learn. Giving some commands and writing some loops is easy, but doesn't mean that you will be able to solve problems, right? So same kind of logic you need in the Python as well, in the Java as well. So this doesn't change, and that's why we learn C language, right? Now try to understand, at least try. I know it is not easy for a beginner, but I'm quite sure that you will. I'm quite sure. Let's again start from the problem statement. To print all numbers, all prime numbers between 2 and 500. Definitely, we need to scan that each number 2 onwards till 500. So for that we need a loop, that is outer loop, right? And that number we are taking each of that number itself, each of that number itself. We are going to check whether that prime or not. That is the logic I have put here. Nothing more than that. Earlier, what was happening? This was not there. This was not there. Okay, and this was there. This code was there. At that time, that num, whatever that num, yesterday user was entering. So user used to enter that particular number, 27. So that num was having that 27. Next time user enters, user was having some 50. So num was having that value as a 50. And you wrote this code. and it was giving output whether the number is prime or not. That's it. But now we are checking each number between 2 and 500 and find out whether that number is prime or not. So each of that number is being tested after this. That's it. That's it. Nothing more than that. And that's why this variable we are comparing. Okay. So now what went wrong earlier? This statement was not written. So what happens? Suppose num is a suppose num is 5. When loop control reaches suppose 5, right? And this statement was not there. In the earlier code, the previous iteration, I will say, this value of I is getting changed each time, right? Value of I is getting changed each time. So when loop is executed and goes to the next part, that is num plus plus, when num becomes 3, 4, 5, this has to be reinitialized always. Why? Because to check each number, you have to start from 2. Suppose you check number as a 7, whether it is divisible by 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Not divisible by any number between 2 and 6. So you used to declare 7 as a prime number. The next number comes 8. But for that 8, the division has to be start again from the 2. Here, the value of I is getting increased each time, right? So that's why this is the key statement. Value of I has to be reinitialized, which is the position just before division starts. That's why this statement is written here, just before. You cannot write this here. We have written. No, here that is not necessary. That's all. It is not necessary, right? This is the key statement. Re-listen my video, recorded video, then write this program. I mean, rather copy paste this program, copy paste, and try to no check it many times. Remove this statement, right? Remove this break statement. Just play along with this code, and you will start understanding slowly. Got man? Okay. So we will take one more program. I had decided to take two programs, but the more different programs we take, you will understand more concepts in C language. Okay, we will write this program. What is the problem? Write a C program to calculate and print cube of a number entered by the user. Make a provision that user can enter as many numbers as he or she wants. Something different. Have you understand what the program is expecting? Here, what is to be done is easy. A user will enter number and program will give you output as the cube of the number. That is very easy, right? So what is that program? The earlier one, int number, printf, enter number, scanf, percent d, and number, right? And I will write here printf. This is one method of you must know that. Here I'm not going to store that the result in another variable, just to show you the intricacies, not intricacies, the provisions available. You can do anything in C language. So cube of percent d is percent d slash n, right? And num, right? And here only I will write the num into num into num. This is valid, no problem here, right? I enter suppose 5, cube of 5 is 1 to 5. You enter 8, cube of 8 is 5 1 2. Earlier, what we were writing, we are declaring separate variable as int cube, right? And you were writing separate statement here. Cube is equal to num into num into num. Instead of declaring separate variable and separate arithmetic expression, right? Here only I made the cube. That's it. Nothing new in this. What will happen when this statement is executed? When it comes across, control comes across percent, it will fetch the value of num with whatever you have entered. When it comes here, it will go at the it will cross this second comma, and here it control finds this expression. So that expression it's all there only. So if you entered 5, that 5 into 5 into 5, that is 1 to 5, 1 to 5 will be printed here. That's it. Okay. Through programming, I am giving you lot of, I'm showing you, I'm unboxing a lot of mysteries of no or facilities of in C language. That's it. So this is a valid code, but you should know this. This is possible. That's it, right? I'll not say valid. The one which I wrote is not invalid. This is how what you can say good programming practice. But at the same time, the one which I showed, many programmers use this as a making that more code compact. Nothing wrong in that, right? Now this is what now if you run this program, um, it will take only one input, right? And it will stop. Program will be finished. Now, what if I want to run this from for 5 times? I will put whole code inside the loop, right? So I will declare one variable as a int I, as a counter variable, right? I will write for I is equal to 1, I less than or equal to 5, I plus plus, right? And put this whole code inside that. What will happen here? The loop will be executed 5 times. So it will print, it will prompt the user 5 times, right? So you will get the cube of 5 numbers. That's it. So you enter 5, 125, 6, 216, 4, 64, 8, 512, 7, 343. That's it. Simple. That's what we have. Now, when I started this chapter, I told you there is a kind of a special loop. Special is not a keyword, right? But just intricacies of C language, you can use that facilities, operators, no, and how loop is executed, how condition is tested. So you can write this kind of loop in such times. Like what is the case at a current requirement? Make provision that user can enter as many numbers as she wants. As many numbers. So it may happen as many numbers. I want 5 numbers uh, to be entered. But here you need to make changes in the code. You are going to write a program so that sometimes it will end up we visit 3 times, 5 times, 8 times. That's all, like that. Huh? So this is not going to be useful. So I will show you couple of ways for that, right? One way is to uh, that sometimes called as the infinite loop, not exactly infinite loop, right? But I will write here while, right? And condition inside condition I will write one, right? While one, as I told you, is the condition part, and one is a non-zero, always true. And since this is always true, this loop will be executed infinite times. Control will never come outside the while loop. You have to abort the program. You have to abort the program. So if I execute this program, how I will come outside the loop? So our one situation is one requirement is fulfilled here. Since this loop will be uh, uh, executed numerous times, but there is no provision to stop here, terminate the loop. So we have to make that provision. So how you can make that provision? Somehow I have to make that provision. Numerous ways are there. I will write here printf. Do you wish to continue? This continue is not continue keyword. Unnecessarily, I don't want you to get confused. This is, I mean, do you wish to continue or do you want to enter another number? Right? And here I will declare one variable as a char choice. Right? Number of ways are there. Friends, number of ways are there. So I will scan this. and I will put here if choice equal to y. Let's see. No. Break. Run this code and then I will explain. Let's see whether it works. Oh, something goes wrong. Okay, enter number. So I will enter 5. Right? Cube of 5 is 125. Now the user has got control. What I mean? So he can continue or he can stop. So you are getting a prompt. Do you wish to continue? No, there what is to be done here we have not given message, so that has to be given. So I will enter suppose why. Yes, I want to. So it will ask give another when the loop is executed again. Do you I mean the enter number, right? So I will enter 5. Again it will ask, do you wish to continue? I enter y. Enter number 7. Do you wish to continue? I say yes. Do you wish to continue? I say no. I say n. It will stop. Got that? So user has got foot control. So that is the magic of no. That's why I love this programming language. You can do anything. No, this is the only. This is not the only way. I will. I will bet you if this program can be written in 8 to 10 different ways. Same program. I mean, not calculation of Q, but how you can control that iteration of the loop. Somebody will write this, somebody else will write another way. Okay, a lot of ways are there. Lot of ways are there, and this is very interesting part of here onwards. The C programming language becomes interesting and more interesting, and this is not taught, my friend. This is not taught because a teacher will say that okay, I have taught you while loop, I have taught you relational operator, that's it. I have taught you break statement. Yesterday when I said that break statement is required, okay, while writing a program, this is one of the application. You get that, right? Because as soon as the user enters n, then uh, control will not again enter inside the loop, and it will go next statement after the loop. So uh, that is the wonderful application of or use of break statement. Now I can talk on this for so much time and this that. Before I conclude this session, I will show you one more how the C program can be developed and how C can be learned forever. I will execute this program, right? Suppose I enter 5, right? 6. Do you wish to continue? Why? Enter number 8. Do you wish to continue? Here, do you wish to continue? I have entered 6, right? That is by mistake I entered. But still it gives enter number. Why? Because this condition is going to be true only when you enter n. That's it. Right? So in fact you can enter any key. Right? because this condition is going, this break statement is going to be executed exclusively when you press n, small n. Now, it may happen that your caps lock is on. So I am making caps lock on. And if I press N, actually as a user wants program not to be executed again. Is that clear? But that is a dumb machine. No, the code is dumb. You have not written anything in that. So though I don't wish to continue, I don't wish to continue, when I enter N, and unfortunately the caps lock was on, user doesn't know maybe sometimes. So if I now interpret it will again ask for the, because you have not written the condition that way. Huh? So there is a compulsion that you have to enter a small n, then only program will be terminated. You are a C programmer, so you have got full control over the code. That is the beauty of C language. So put here if choice is equal to n, okay, I taught you logical OR operator. All these applications use of that will come during time span. At that time you might not have understood the importance of that logical and logical or couple of programs we wrote, but here this is a real application. What I will write, choice is equal to n, logical or choice is equal to capital N. That's it. How wonderful. So this condition will be true when either of this condition is true. Logical or, what does the logical or says? The whole condition will be true when either of the both conditions are true. So if user enters n, condition is true. Suppose user enters capital N, the whole condition is going to be true. Why? Because there is a logical or. Got that? So if I run this code, I enter 6 and here I press small n, the program will be terminated. Got that? This is what we want, no? Right. So uh, that's it. Number of concepts are there, and if you start writing programs, then only you will understand more and more and more. Right? I mean, I will tell you, no, hundreds and thousands of such concepts are there in C language which are not taught or which are not in the book. Right? Okay. Uh, this can be, somebody will write like this: while choice equal to yes or choice equal to capital Y, right? Somebody may not use the break statement. Somebody may not use that break statement. And here, as I earlier summation of numbers, that sum has to be initialized, right? If I run this code, program is not executed at all. Why? Because choice contains garbage. So you have to initialize it to somewhere, some, because at least once it has to be, no. So we initialize to y, so that it goes inside the loop. Now this program can be executed. What is the problem? It will run. To enter number 6. Do you wish to continue? I'll say no. What happens? Yes. 5. Do you wish to continue? Yes. Enter number 8. Do you wish to continue? Yes. Enter number 2. Do you wish to continue? Suppose by mistake I type capital Y. Yes, enter number 6. Do you wish to continue? No. Stop. So I'm just using the same operators and same thing available in C language which I taught you. Right? I'm not doing anything new. No new syntaxes. I'm just using the facilities the way no I can. That is the beauty of C language. Right? Next, suppose I write this here, semicolon. I'll write the do while loop. That's all. I told you last time, while loop and do while loop. What is the difference? While loop, do while loop is executed at least once. In the earlier case, the while loop was not executed. While loop was not executed. For that, what we had to do, we have to initialize that. Here, there is no need to initialization as well, because we know that do while is going to be executed at least once, right? Because this choice is going to be tested after the iteration. So here loop will be executed even though you are not initialize that variable to choice. So enter number 5. Do you wish to continue? Yes. 6. Yes. Enter number